welcome to the next instalment of the Welsh Athletics Club Development webinar series. This webinar is about setting your club strategy. You can catch up on all of our other webinars in this series via the Welsh Athletics YouTube channel under the playlist Club Development Webinars. This webinar will look at defining what strategy is. We will explore how to set your club strategy and how your club strategy can contribute to the wider strategy for our sport in Wales. Strategy can often be a term that is thrown around amidst the sport management world, but can also be something that is not always clearly understood by its writers or those implementing it. To define strategy in its simplest terms, strategy is a plan of action designed to achieve a long-term or overall aim. Drilling down into this a little more, strategy is about what the organisation or sports club will and won't do to achieve specific goals and objectives, where these goals and objectives lead to the realisation of a stated mission and vision. Contributing to this, strategic plans and strategic models incorporate long-term aims and goals, which in turn have an effect on the day-to-day operation of an organisation. This diagram shows where strategy fits within planning. We have spoken in previous webinars around club development plans needing to be clear on where it is you want your club to get to, your overall vision, prior to starting your planning. Once this has been decided, the finishing point of your planning is deciding on the goals and objectives that form the stepping stones to achieving that vision. You can catch up on our club development planning webinar for more information on developing plans within your club. The strategy, as you can see in this diagram, is the brains of your plan, the critical centrepiece that fits between these two processes. Specifically, a strategy captures and communicates how vision and mission will be achieved and sets forth the goals and objectives needed to demonstrate that the club is on the right path for achieving them. Like with most things, creating a solid foundation on which to build your strategy is important, and there are some things you need to consider before progressing with your strategy. Such as, does your club have a mission and vision? Is this communicated clearly to both members and the public? Have you got the support of the club committee and all the members? And have you got an understanding of your club's values and how they fit into the overall direction of the club? Make sure you catch up on our webinar on club values for more information on this. An article on Forbes looking at how small organisations can break down the overwhelming process of developing a strategy summarises 5 key steps to a strategic plan. These are: number 1, determine where you are. What does your club currently look like at the moment? What are your strengths, weaknesses? What are the opportunities or the threats? Number 2, identify what's important. Where do you want to take your club over time? This sets the direction of the club over the long term and helps to identify the club's mission and vision if it's not already been defined. From this analysis, you can establish the priorities that need to be focused on. Number 3, define what you must achieve. Define the expected objectives that clearly state what your club must achieve to address the priorities. Having a clear idea of the goals that will get you closer towards achieving your mission and vision will help you measure success. Number 4, determine who is accountable. This is how you're going to get there. Using a skills-based approach to your committee members or volunteers, decide who will be responsible for which actions and get the right person in the right job. How will the club allocate time, volunteer resource and money to the identified priorities in order to achieve the club's mission and vision? Number 5, review. Regularly review and refine the processes to check that the strategy is still relevant. I thought it might be useful here to go through a bit of a worked example using the strategy for our sport in Wales. Through engaging with our membership of over 400 members that took part in this, we were able to develop a strategy for the sport by the sport. By identifying 6 goals paired with our values and our vision, a strategy has been established aligned to our sports needs across Wales. The next slide shows a video summarising what these goals are and a little bit more about our vision. As the video shows, the vision for athletics in Wales is to be the #1 sport for participation and opportunities across Wales, underpinned by a world-class development programme. We will achieve this by being a sector-leading organisation for governance, collaboration, innovation and modernisation. Many of these strategic objectives that you've seen in the video will be reflected in your own clubs, and rightly so, as over 400 of you in the running and athletics community across Wales fed into this strategy via the consultation process. So let's begin to look at how you can align your club strategy to contribute to the wider progress of the sport in Wales. This slide highlights some of the key areas that as a sport we have identified and want to move forwards. Have a read through of them and think about how your club can influence these factors. For example, what can your club do to ensure that athletics and running is a safe and inclusive sport for all? Over the last year, we have seen some great examples from clubs keeping those connections open with their members and checking in on them and their welfare during the pandemic. How do you recognise and reward the contribution made by active volunteers, for example? Again, we've seen some great practice across Wales of clubs celebrating their volunteers with club awards, monthly hero of the months, and much, much more. It's not expected that every club or group is going to be able to contribute to every part of the sports strategy. But if every club can play its part in supporting the aspects that are most relevant to them, it will make a big difference in achieving these. We know so many clubs are perhaps unconsciously already contributing to the sports strategy, but how can we make that impact greater? How can we formalise the plans within our clubs to ensure we are influencing our sport for the better? Each contribution, however small, will have an impact on athletics and running across Wales and will help take us collectively one step closer to achieving the strategy. Have a think when you're planning your club strategies, how you can align it best to the strategy for the sport as an overall vision. One sport, one strategy. Through investing in our infrastructure to reduce administration demands on clubs and volunteers, we hope to further support our clubs on the ground to allow them more time to focus on developing their clubs to being the best that they can be. Modernising our clubs will help to create better environments and will in turn increase membership and strengthen our clubs. Welsh Athletics will continue to work towards a strong, progressive and robust governance structure that supports the needs of the sport, and through working with clubs we hope to ensure our clubs have similar strength in their governance too. I hope you have enjoyed and found useful this short introduction to setting your club strategy. To summarise this webinar, strategy can help provide operational direction to a long-term goal or vision. An element of analysis does need to be done to understand where you are, where you want to be, and how you'll get there prior to starting your strategy process. And why not use the strategy for our sport in Wales to help you align your club strategy to the bigger picture and ensure that you are thoroughly contributing to the success and the progress of our beloved sport in Wales. If you would like any further support on this topic or on anything else relating to club development, there are a few places you can go. You can visit the Welsh Athletics Club portal for lots of resources, guides and tools to help you analyse the current status of your club and develop further. You can contact your local club development manager. Details of who your local contact is are on the next slide. You can visit the Club Solutions website developed by Sport Wales for further information on running a club in Wales. And finally, do go and check out the Welsh Athletics Strategy, a vision for athletics in Wales 2019 to 2026, which can be downloaded from our website. Finally, your local club development managers are Barry Edwards in the North West Wales, Eva Brewer in North East Wales, Andrew Jenkins, South West Wales, Hannah Pretty, South Wales, and Tom Cole, South East Wales.